Where do songs come from? Sometimes in the search for a sound, we go outside of our comfort zone and discover new things. I asked Pat and Dennis to come in and talk about process and their collaboration. Pat's a founding member of LCD Sound System, and Dennis was in the Juan McLean. They have a new project called Museum of Love. We talked about how they draw inspiration from sounds as raw materials and the spirit those sounds convey. So we put some random pedals and noisemakers on a table and asked them to experiment.
We've wanted to do things where we risk embarrassing ourselves. And felt like if we weren't at least taking that risk, then it was not... Then you're just kind of stroking your own
Isn't
ego.
that true of any real artistic gesture, though? Like, if you're not putting anything out there, is it art?
Exactly.
And if you're not putting anything out there, then yeah, I guess it's safer, you know, but it's,
you can feel it when
actually
there's, vulnerability in there, You're scared of this thing in a weird way, but you're drawn to it as well. And what is that balance that brings both in?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're treading a line, but maybe that's part of why you're risking embarrassment as well. Mm-hmm. So we made a really embarrassing record.
I hope so.
Right on.
We don't have like some overarching idea that we're gonna make this thing. We're trying to find something and trying to get to a place where maybe we're both a bit freaked out and pull that out of it.
Style-wise or live or process-wise?
Process-wise, where it's like we're approaching it with at least a little bit of humility and going like, what do we hear in this, instead of having a super strong idea of how it's going to end up sounding. If we were smart, we would have made like dance banger after dance banger and we'd be rich, like Avicii or something. But instead we were like, let's see where this goes, and we ended up making like a album that has an arc, and some of it's dance music and some of it's not. It's like a 70s, adult-oriented rock record for grown-up people.
It's like Paul Anka. It's awesome.
No, but it's good.
What informs your process now as far as your musical history? There was an element of danger thing that we had touched on earlier, again, like I'm going back to that, but does that danger element start with coming from a more rock background?
What we were talking about before is that things that are beautiful have an element of terror built into them. So some really beautiful Scott Walker thing could be super dark. Mm-hmm. And we're drawing from that, as well as, loud, bombastic stuff that we grew up listening to that seems more terrifying. I guess that's what I mean by being a fan. It's like there's so much music that we love, and we're trying to pull out of it the things that we recognize in all of it that resonate with us.
To a certain extent, we found kind of a palette.
70s string synths.
Yep.
Croony vocals.
Was it because of historical precedent, or was it just because of the sound?
No, I think it was just for the sound. I tried not to, ever be precious. Nothing can be precious, and I think that's part of the collaboration that makes it
ruthless. Like we make something and then we tear it apart and rebuild it from scratch if we need to, or just take what we think is good about it.
It's such a killer reference to go to the Scott Walker side of things too, because to me it's the sound of being bold as well. You listen to like Scott 3, and the first track, it's like It's Raining Today comes on, there's this crazed out tritone, string trill happening. And that's so bold, and as is 13 Songs by Fugazi, as is, like you referenced, Gigi Allen, which I couldn't believe that you referenced in conversation at all.
Well, because to get to that, it's like trying to terrorize the audience into being there.
I thought that was a beautiful way to put it. Like that from a compositional standpoint, this record that you guys have just made, if it has a wider appeal, then you're being generous with an audience and sharing those gestures that, even if they're informed by Gigi Allen, you enable people to come in and experience that with you.
Right. We don't want to make anything that's just pretty or that's like smug. That would be the worst thing.
Right.
So like I see it as like a continuum where, you know, there's rank amateurs, and I mean that in the best possible sense, on one side, and musical geniuses on the other side, and they're like bathing in humility. And then there's this island that's the middle of the bell curve, that's the island of vanity.
Yeah.
And that's where we don't want to be.
Yeah. That's well put.
In the next episode, we'll explore distortion, reverb, and delay with William Tyler.